gentlemen. Welcome to the 16th Arpa International Film Festival. This is Sylvia Manassian, the founder of AFLA, Arpa International Film Festival. I'm going to make just a few brief announcements. First of all, welcome to all of our guests who've come from all over Southern California to be here today. We know this is the most difficult part of town to get to because of traffic. We're still giving a few minutes for people to come and make it. The films in this program are a wonderful music video called Switzerland by the Doors, Not Anymore, A Story of Revolution, directed by Matthew Van Dyke, who's here. Hopefully he's here. He just arrived from the East Coast. Welcome, Matthew. And Heal America, directed by Yervand Kochar. Welcome to all the filmmakers, and welcome to Ted Hayes, homeless activist, who's also joining us today. Ted, welcome. And he'll be participating in a Q&A after the screening, and also his daughter, who is an Olympic gold medalist, Joanna Hayes, will be joining us as well. So it's going to be a really interesting program, and now I'd like to pass it off to Sylvia Manassian.
I'm just going to say welcome. This is our third day of the festival. Tomorrow we have a beautiful program followed by a wonderful awards events. And I hope that you all come back and see us tomorrow. We're going to have a beautiful reception, we'll have fun, and end our wonderful festival with the awards. Thank you very much for coming.
Ted, the first question, and this question is also for you, Yervand. I know that when you submitted this film, originally as one format, then you worked on it and you added some other scenes. Is this the first time you're seeing it?
Yeah.
How's that experience?
Well, it's about Alex' great aunt's house, obviously. Sorry for that. You know, the titles, yeah, it's all over the place. I apologize for that. There were a couple of glitches there with the title being Alex' great aunt's house, so yeah.
Okay, well, and Matthew, I believe that this film today is playing in 5 festivals around the world, and you're here. So you can imagine we're extremely grateful to be able to participate in this conversation with the filmmakers. Tell us, what has been your experience with this film? It's won many awards at different festivals. And are you here? Is this your first LA screening?
No, it's not my first. First one I've been to, though,
Okay.
in LA.
Cool.
My experience with the film, it's been over a year. The process of from when I first set out trying to unsuccessfully raise funds to make the film, to making the film to now, it was dangerous for Nor and I and everyone involved. But it's been rewarding, and I hope that it is seen around the world. It makes a difference.
The question was about showing different sides of this, different people's stories, and how can you show one side and not the other side? Right. Yes. And it was directed to Matthew.
It's a 15-minute film, for one thing. There's a lot more that could have been shown about this side of the revolution. It's an openly, everybody knows where I stand. I fought in a revolution in Libya. I openly support the Syrian revolution. This is a story that I think the media has done a good job or a horrible job, depending on your perspective, of talking about less savory elements of the revolution. But a lot of people haven't seen this side of it. So that's what I wanted to show, because this is what the majority, the heart of the revolution, what you saw in the film is who they are. I'd be very hopeful for Syria if the revolution was going to succeed. At this point, it looks like there'll be 2 Syrias, to be perfectly honest about it. I fear for the future of Syria. I hope that at least part of Syria will remain free and can survive, but some drastic changes have to happen in this revolution for all of Syria to become a good country. Well, there are no Al-Qaeda in the Free Syrian Army. The Syrian rebel movement is comprised of the Free Syrian Army and a lot of other groups. And those are the other groups. And actually, the Free Syrian Army has been fighting against Al-Qaeda recently in Syria. Free Syrian Army, as far as I know, doesn't really accept many foreign recruits. A few units tried to recruit me when I was making the film, but that's because I fought in Libya. As a foreign fighter myself in Libya, and I don't have any problem with foreign fighters. If somebody believes in their heart to go and help people on the other side of the world, that's fine. And I don't even really care about their motivation. I care about after the war, that they move on to the next war, or if they do stay, they deal with what the people in that country want. But as long as they shoot in the right direction at Assad's forces, I don't really care at this point. And the revolution doesn't need to be fighting elements in the revolution when we're already losing against Assad's forces.
Ted, I have a question for you, if I may. Can you talk a little bit about how you're probably approached all the time to make films? People probably love to feature you in their films. How do you kind of manage that, and how did you decide to hook up with these young filmmakers?
Oh, wow, it's a lot. Can I just say something first? I want to say thanks to, I saw this, it was amazing, Yervand. Congratulations. Good job. And I want to acknowledge the creator for allowing this kind of thing, because it gives me a new, broader platform to carry my message. And I want to acknowledge my family up there. Guys, would you please stand up, my family, Dear, Isaac, Joanna, and I want to thank Yervand and Jeannie DiCarlo, who recognized something that was going on in my life and the folks I work with, and they put something together very well. So I just want to acknowledge Jeannie as well in all of this. What was the question?
Well, my question was, how did you meet the team behind Filmmaker, the filmmakers, Yervand?
Well, Yervand and Jeannie, when they came to Dome Village, they heard what I was doing. They came over to investigate and find out. And in the course of talking about things, I learned that this young man, being from Armenia, had a real passion for my country, for the greatest tragedy in this country was chattel slavery. We didn't come to this country willingly. We were brought here by immigrants against our will. We returned to human property. And it's left a very bad wound. We had a war, a civil war, in which 720,000 young innocent white boys and 38,000 young black boys lost their lives over the existence of my people in this country against our will. Yervand did a documentary movie called Wounded Warriors about Abraham Lincoln, the Civil War, and I recognized this man understood something about my country that most people who've been in this country as American citizens didn't understand. And I say to my Syrian friends who are Christian or Muslim, you're coming to this country, what you're marrying into is what Yervand sensed. If you're going to be a part of America, know that you're going to be a part of this bleeding, open wound, which is one of the main reasons why America cannot resolve the issue in the Middle East, because America has its wound, its own self, and hasn't healed. So Yervand is the guy that has brought this to the fore, and I appreciate his spirit about my country.
Yervand, how many?
Al-Qaeda is our enemy, and Al-Qaeda is the enemy of the FSA. However, Syria is a sinking ship, and if you have a ship full of women and children, are you going to stand there and let the ship sink because there's a few Al-Qaeda on board?
I know.
Because that's what's going on. Lives away, and everybody else who stands with them, because you don't like some of the people who are standing next to them shooting at Assad. You know, people protested against this film winning a humanitarian war because they supported the Assad regime. People who protested. The fact is, this film features FSA. And FSA are the only people standing between Armenians in Syria and the Al-Qaeda that you fear.
Just want to let you know that. And yes, Matthew's film is going to be recognized tomorrow evening at our awards ceremony. The people who called me were not pro-Assad. They were. There was an association with Armin T. Wegner that made it so that we as a festival had to look carefully at this film and see if we wanted to. Humanitarian is not the right word. It was Armin T. Wegner. So we are giving this film a Silver Lens Award to honor Matthew's efforts, his courage to go in and make a film like this. So in our way, we are honoring the film, and we're continuing to screen the film. The film is never withdrawn from the festival, so we tried to clear that up. I hope I answered your question.
It's very easy to dismiss the revolution anywhere because of all the bad apples that it attracts, and Al-Qaeda is there and it's always going to be there. But the point is, do you want to fight dictatorship? And that's the key. And we have the same situation in Armenia, that vermin and dirt and snakes infested that country and poisoning life politically and poisoning our social life, stealing elections. So what do? We just sit, wait, or we fight, or we don't fight, thinking that we may attract some bad apples and this thing can go south. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do. I guess that's the message.
But I'm not really interested in doing any more programs like that until we implement a real solution to the problem. Because what has happened is that homelessness has become a business, it's an industry, and the worst oppressor of the homeless are the social service providers, the activists themselves. Just like in the case with Syria or Ireland or anywhere else in the world, there's people who want peace, they want to get along, but there's other people who find a way that they can make a living and get power from agitating crisis between people, so does with homelessness. So I'm working with some interesting people in the country to put forth what I call the National Homeless Plan to actually eradicate it, not only here in this country, but to create a model that will affect people around the world. So that's what we're working towards right now.
More questions?
There's no way after the blood and sacrifice that the Syrian people have been through that they will tolerate, any radical group, any individual strongman from taking power and robbing them of the democracy that they've been fighting for all this time. In my view, the revolution in Syria, as it was in Libya, is not that afterwards the revolutionaries become the rulers, but afterwards the revolutionaries move on to the next revolution. And many people in Libya went to help in Syria. I went over to Syria. People in Syria have said after they defeat Assad, they'll go to Lebanon and they'll kick out Hezbollah. And inshallah they will. And then they'll move on maybe to Iran. And the revolutions will continue. And that's the vision that I have for all of this, where it's at. Worldwide liberation, starting in this century. I don't want my children to know about authoritarianism except in history books. It's the 21st century, it has to stop now. And that's why I do this.
Final thoughts from our filmmakers' head, final thoughts?
We gotta be careful, y'all, because history teaches that when the revolutionaries knock off the man and they become the man, they become the oppressor.
Yeah, man.
Remember that now, because generally, from what I've discovered, is that if a people are wounded in their soul, and they're fighting from hatred and bitterness to overthrow the oppressor, when they overthrow the oppressor, they become worse. And a different story is that the United States of America, this country fought to get the British revolution off their backs, while all the while they had their boot heel on the back of the neck of chattel slaves. You see, be careful what you say you're going to fight for. How do you know when you finally get rid of Assad or Al-Qaeda that you are not going to do the same thing? What guarantee can you give us that your soul is healed enough to rule, and rule better than the ones you criticize?